I was going to start with Friday music, but how could I not start with this? From Rita Myers. Good morning, everyone. Guess whose birthday is today? Her name starts with R and ends with Rita. So happy birthday, Rita. I hope you have a good one. I hope you're going to do something really wonderful. And I am so happy for you. I think I need to cough. Ah, that was almost as good as last night's interview, but we'll get into that later. First of all, good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee and Headlines, our morning shindig, where we examine headlines from our city, our state, and our country, where we ask ourselves, did you feel the quake? Where we wonder if the city should be spending money on plywood Christmas villages, where we connect with the best and the worst of our city so we can improve the quality of our lives here in Puerto Vallarta as a community of English speakers. It is always a pleasure to get together with you. And now it is a pleasure to acknowledge that today is.
Thank God it's.
Yes, it is Friday, December 10th. I don't know if there's anything important happening today other than the fact that it's the end of the week. And of course, it's the day before tomorrow when I get to go watch West Side Story. So I'm excited about that. But this is not about me, it's about you. So let's make sure that everybody here can have a nice, healthy connection today. Today, we have important news, we have cute news, we have show and tell from going to, oh my God, Costco yesterday. Lord have mercy. And of course, I figured you have been asking about things that I buy at the supermarket that have to do with Mexican cooking or things that Mexicans buy at supermarkets. So I bought a couple of things that we're going to show and tell today. And of course, without going on, I mean, rather, we cannot go on without reminding everyone that if you're new to the broadcast, please let us know by adding the word new to your comment, and that way we'll give you a nice little welcome. But first, everybody, please wish a happy birthday to Rita because she's celebrating her birthday. And secondly, if you have something truly important to share during the broadcast or that you're looking an answer for or something we can connect you with, please add the letter Q at the beginning of your broadcast, and we'll be so happy to address it during the broadcast. And of course, today is Friday, which means that we get to discuss a neighborhood. And today, the turn is for Colonia Emiliano Zapata, and we'll have a commentary on Emiliano Zapata later on that will disappoint some and will hopefully give some things to think about. But before we go there, let us go in order and take a look at the news, and then we'll take a look at some of your comments. I'm already seeing some very good ones. So this hopefully will be a fun broadcast for you. I know it will be for me. Moving right along. Bam! Did you feel the quakes? Was it good for you? Apparently, three earthquakes with very local epicenters, one of them Ixtapa, shook the region yesterday morning, the first at 1:30 a.m., the second at 4:52, and the third at 10:04 a.m. That was a 4.0 on the Richter scale, just minutes before our broadcast. Fortunately, no damages were reported. I personally did not even notice. Um, Apparently, the 10:04 a.m. quake, the one with the epicenter in Ixtapa, though, did make authorities evacuate approximately 400 people from the UMA building, which is one of our city's administrative office buildings. And this was probably a good idea, as I've heard that the building was very poorly constructed to begin with. And speaking of questionable constructions, behold the Christmas village the city of Puerto Vallarta is putting together on the Malecon. Even the best intentions cannot detract criticism. According to this news report, pedestrians and passersby are complaining about how the installation is blocking excessive space for people that are simply trying to get from one place to another, people and cyclists. A second article focuses on the fact that the ice skating rink alone, forget about the rest of the installation, the ice skating rink alone cost 3.5 million pesos, which were spent by an administration that not too long ago was complaining of not having enough funds to get by through the Christmas bonus season, and that the numbers presented by the municipal government simply don't add up. By the way, there was a video posted of the whole shebang on Facebook, where we learned that the installation will not be ready for people to enjoy until December 15 and will remain in place until January 15, and that includes what they're calling a monumental ice skating rink. Monumental. I love it when people use the word monumental, just because it's a monumental word. I don't know why they're calling it monumental, but I think it deserves one of these. From the video footage, it is clear to me that the city has partnered with an outside company that has clearly erected similar installations in other cities, as it shows an itty bitty cable car going by, with little one person things to travel on. So I think it's child shaped and child size. Um, I don't know. I mean, if you ask me, can the city or could the city have spent better money elsewhere or the money better elsewhere? I think so. But then, the city is responding to a need that I don't particularly understand. I had an interesting conversation with a friend of mine yesterday about how, we think that the city is looking after our best interest, but who are we and who is the majority of the city population? But I digress. I don't want to get into speculation here. All I know is that some people are bound to enjoy this chingadera, I suppose. Speaking of holiday season, the city's fire and civil protection department has emitted the usual holiday precautions, which includes being mindful of the well-being of your Christmas accessories at home, ensuring that your electrical extensions are in good shape, that you're not putting Christmas lights near where you have curtains, things like that. I mean, we already know this stuff, but it's good to know that the city is at least reminding some people of these very basic but very important things. And also, if you're traveling elsewhere, you make sure that you turn your gas off, things like that, common sense things. We also learned this morning that Sayulita draws criticism as a pueblo mágico for not being mágico enough. This is not news to me, but it may be news to you. Apparently, when they turned Sayulita into a pueblo mágico, a committee of locals was established to make specific recommendations on how to improve the town, and they did. But these recommendations apparently were not taken into account. The people that were part of this committee were expected to work unpaid or pay from their own pocket, having to go and take courses and this, that, and the other, or even entertain important VIP people visiting and politicians. Um, since their input was not truly taken into account, most have quit the committee. One, among the things that the local population expected here by being named as a pueblo mágico is that it would result in an improvement of the town's image, ordering of their streets and roads, but this has not happened. If you ask me, what little magic Sayulita had when I first got here 20 years ago has been replaced by commercial charm, and there are other more traditional places to explore in the region. That said, Sayulita continues to be a very popular surfing destination, and at the very least, if you want some good eye candy and you like what surfers look like, there is no better place in the region than Sayulita. Now, let's turn over to the weather. I would never use PowerPoint to plot the overthrow of democracy. I would use Keynote. Well, I have to agree with you, snarky weatherman, because I use Keynote in this broadcast just about every other day. Our temperature right now is 27 degrees, feels like 27, and humidity continues to be low, 31%. Enjoy the weather and enjoy going out. 81 degrees Fahrenheit, and our weather forecast for the beginning of this weekend says that we're going to have a partly cloudy day today with a high temperature of 30, low temperature 19. Tomorrow, Saturday, will be clear through the day with a high temperature of 30, low temperature of 19. And Sunday, we will enjoy a clear day again, high temperature of 31, low temperature 18. And that will be great for the River of Art, which we announced yesterday, which is going to take place at Oscars on the Isla Rio Cuale. I will try to stop by and check it out, but it is also my day off, and I usually do whatever Luna tells me to do. And speaking of Luna, I want to follow up with some of my adventures yesterday. Let's see, what do we start with? Oh, yes, Costco. Don't go. I mean, seriously, it was so crowded. I had lunch with a dear friend, and then I figured, late afternoon, how bad can Costco be? It was crazy. It was Thursday. It was crazy. The only redeeming thing about going to Costco yesterday is the fact that I ran into the wonderful Den and Kathy, or Kathy and Den, who are cleared of all their COVID, and they were out and about shopping, and we had a great time just catching up with one another. We touched base on the fact that we want to do an interview at some point, and they have asked that we do it at the beginning of next year. So at some point, we will get together. As you know, Kathy is wheelchair bound, and it is so encouraging to see how happy they are thriving here in Puerto Vallarta, dealing with this additional circumstance in their life that they have to go around everywhere by using a wheelchair. And I'm very much looking forward to sitting down and having a conversation with them at some point. But I was just happy to see them out and about. So anyhow, Costco, fabulous store. But if you're gonna go early, early, or go late, or go in January maybe, because it's really, really, really crowded. After that, of course, I went to La Comer and bought a bunch of chingaderas that I needed, but not before making a stop at Petco. First, I got Luna a new toy that I'm not even going to show you because she discovered it this morning. We played, and it was the biggest mistake because now she wants to play all the time. She hasn't stopped meowing, but she's a happy kitty. I got to to La Comer, and among the things that I bought is this, which I buy on a regular basis. This is green tomato broth, which you may or may not shop for. I love this because, I throw one of these and some chicken breast into my crock pot. And I add a little bit of salt, and bam, I have shredded chicken that I can then add to all kinds of things that I can cook. Now, I could just throw water into the crock pot, but using green tomato broth is what yours truly does. I also was intrigued about this brand new brand or breed of Corona beer. There you go. Corona beer. Focus. There you go. This is actually, check this out. It's beer with seltzer water and mango and pineapple flavor. Only 90 calories. I may not survive tomorrow, but I will let you know exactly what that looks like once we're done with the broadcast, because it's not going to be quite noon, but it'll be a good time to have a beer, I think. Let's see, what else do I have prepared for you? Oh, yes. Well, please indulge me and let me talk a little bit about last night. Last night, we had such a delightful conversation with Branden and James, and Amy crashed the interview. It was really, really wonderful to connect with these two extraordinary musicians. Well, not Amy aside, Amy notwithstanding, I had never even had a conversation with Branden and James. They had just landed in California for a gig that they have today. We wish them break a leg. We hope they break a leg on their Christmas performance, which includes Effie Passero. And this is going to be at, I think it was West Palm. I don't remember. But anyhow, they took some time from their very, very busy schedule to sit down and have a conversation with us. And of course, we did this because they're going to be part of this amazing concert that Amy has put together for the Christmas season. If you missed the interview is now available on YouTube. And of course, I published show notes for the interview just now, which include all links that you would want to have to access Branden and James's world. There were so many other things that I wanted to touch base during the interview, such as the fact that James has written an amazing and very empowering autobiography that was published by Simon and Schuster. Schuster. Bless you, Simon and that other guy. Anyhow, take a look at it, and I hope you'll enjoy it as much as I enjoyed it myself. I have two more, not very related links to share with you before we get on with to our comments. 6 rude comments relative make at the holidays and how to respond. How could I not be curious about this English article that I'm going to share in today's show notes? Um, because I figured, okay, what are the expressions that they're singling out as rude comments? And let's see. The first one is, looks like you've put on some weight. Um, Duh. The second one is, have you lost weight? You look skinny. I personally love it when people say that to me. You're not drinking anymore? What a bummer. Well, that could be rude, definitely. To some. I don't know. Um, I like this one. So, when are you going to settle down? I love that. And this one, you still haven't found a job? Well, that is pretty fucking rude, if you ask me. Oh, this doesn't apply to me. When are you going to have a baby? I love it. I love it. So these are the ones that were suggested by this article. What are the rudest comments that anyone can make to you when they're visiting? Come on, put them out there in your comments, and I'd love to see what you consider a rude comment from visiting friends or family that are coming to Puerto Vallarta. And then I've tried so hard to not be a compulsive consumer anymore, but I love cute. And when I saw this headline, 34 last minute stocking stuffers that are almost too cute to use, I had to go exploring. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of a scroll. A Dracula garlic mincer. I mean, how adorable is that? How useful or important to own, I'm not so sure. But it's only 19.95 from Amazon. Then check this out. Little succulent, a pair of cactus shaped dryer balls. whose prickles will ensure their laundry dries quicker. I don't know about that. Doesn't do anything for me. But then there's this soap sheets, and there's all kinds of chingaderas here that I certainly would not buy for myself. But this is the kind of, oh, look at that. Oh, it's a cat shaped LED lamp. I would never buy this for myself. Um, and well, there's more. You can check this out on your own. I had a wacky idea we could try after Christmas, because I don't want this wacky idea to be considered as a hint in any way, shape, or form. I keep an Amazon shopping list for myself, just to be mindful of things that I've seen that I may want to buy at some point. And some of the things on my list are totally, totally useless. So maybe after Christmas, we can play a game in which we can share the link to the most useless thing on your shopping list that you can actually afford, but you would not actually purchase, uh, because it doesn't make sense or you don't really need it. So if you think that is a great idea, just write the word Amazon on your comment, and we will have this fun little exercise. And I'm going to start by this one because Mark asks me, did you find a cute quesadilla maker? Well, a quesadilla maker is definitely on my Amazon list among the things that I don't think I would buy for myself. No, definitely not. So let me just scroll back up to see your comments. I'm really intrigued about your take on the rude comments. And then we will talk. Oh, wait, do we? Oh, we have not talked about Emiliano Zapata. Let us talk about Emiliano Zapata first before I forget what else is on my list. Yes, Emiliano Zapata is the last thing on my list, so I will not space it out like I did the other week. Okay, Emiliano Zapata coming right up. Let me make myself a little bigger because we're going to spend a fair amount of time here. There you go. For starters, I thought a lot about what to say about Emiliano Zapata. And let me open this here so that I can have a decent pointer. There you go. Now I can see my pointer. Yes, because my pointer is going to be useful through this exercise. What can one say about arguably the most popular colonia in Puerto Vallarta? What can one show that hasn't been seen by you English speaking locals? And I definitely mean you English speaking locals because that's who our broadcast is geared towards. So I will share my very personal and perhaps slightly biased take on Emiliano Zapata that will have absolutely nothing to do with tourists. So, if you're expecting to hear about the greatest restaurants of Emiliano Zapata, or you would like to hear about all the shows and all the galleries and all that stuff, we're not going to talk about that because we've known about all that stuff for the longest time. It's information that has been available for tourists and locals for the longest time. What I want to talk about is Emiliano Zapata as the time machine that it has been. Emiliano Zapata was not a big part of Puerto Vallarta when it started being built. In fact, I lived for many years at a building or a building complex called Loma del Mar, which a lot of people know. But Loma del Mar was initially built as social interest housing. People did not want to live there. And then eventually it was converted to condominiums and they were sold for peanuts, which is why a lot of people were able to buy um, 2 units and turn them into larger units. When I used to work at Vallarta Lifestyles, we used to talk about this colonia, and I still talk about this colonia as a great exercise in comfort level. And what I mean by that is if you are a first time visitor or have just arrived here or need to be surrounded by very comfortable things that you are familiar with as an English speaker, this colonia is great because, as you know, all the touristy things are closer to the beach. And the more you head to the east in the colonia into this whole side, it's more local. So in a way it's a time machine heading from left to right on the map, because here's where you find all the traditional houses and all the traditional families, all the traditional buildings, all the traditional way of life. And the sad reality of Colonia Emiliano Zapata is that the more we gentrify it, the more we make it popular with the English speaking community, the more expensive it has become, and the more difficult it has become for people that live here to continue living here and afford their life. Now, a lot of the traditional people, or people that have traditionally lived here, and I'm going to start going around with my mouse because I'm sure that's going to make you sleepy. They have jobs in the city. But what happens when you live in Emiliano Zapata and you work somewhere near the city, and all of a sudden you cannot afford your rent? You have to move, and you have to move away from the city, away from your place of work. And this is happening more and more so in this very beautiful and very popular colonia. The way we market it is interesting. We will say that Emiliano Zapata is vibrant, but we will say that to the visitors. But vibrant becomes uh, densely populated when you think about it as a place for locals. To tourists, we say Emiliano Zapata is cosmopolitan, which for locals it translates into expensive. Um, to tourists, we will say Emiliano Zapata is gay friendly, and we will quickly forget how many traditional families still live, work, and own and rule in Emiliano Zapata that are extremely homophobic. And I know it happens in every city in the world, Dave. But I just think that we should be mindful of this. And I know that it is a great colonia. I know that it makes a lot of people very happy. I know that it brings a lot of pleasure and economy and prosperity to our city. But you can talk about that stuff and learn about that stuff in so many other places. For me, it is unfortunate when gentrification goes crazy, you know? Then there's how we call it. A lot of people call it South Side. And I believe my former employer is partially responsible for that. When I used to work at Puerto Vallarta Lifestyles Publishing Group, well, Vallarta Lifestyles started the first multi-list real estate system in Puerto Vallarta, and it continues to operate. And of course, to make it easy on the foreign market, you know, the multi-list system created specific zones in the real estate map of the city, so that people looking for properties would know what zone to go looking for. And what did we call Emiliano Zapata and surrounding colonias? We called it South Side, and a lot of people called it Southside. Now, that was the real estate side of the company. Editorially, we always defended, and I continue to defend, the original names of colonias and things in our editorial coverage. But unfortunately, we are part of the problem. We've made it so easy to navigate this colonia for English speakers that this colonia has quickly and will continue to quickly lose its charm as a traditional colonia, um, which is the nature of the beast, I know, um, but that's just the way I feel about Emiliano Zapata. Now, things that you might enjoy in Emiliano Zapata, we've discussed before. There are amazing restaurants that are off the grid. There is the amazing municipal market. And if you've noticed, whenever we've walked around Emiliano Zapata, we've always tried to stay away from the very commercial side of it, where because there's a lot of information available about that elsewhere. And that pretty much wraps up my commentary on Emiliano Zapata. I didn't prepare any photographs because it's as walkable as it gets. Although it's not necessarily completely handicap accessible or wheelchair friendly, but but there you have it. I wonder how you feel about my assessment of the colonia as locals. I wonder what your reaction is to gentrification, or I wonder what you think we can possibly do to put forth a grain of salt, maybe, in our day to day carrying on in the city to prevent this gentrification to happen in such an unbalanced and drastic way. Next week, of course, as I'm blocking myself now, let me minimize, make myself small again. Next week, we're going to talk about Las Gaviotas. Last week, we talked about Jardines de las Gaviotas, which is right over here. And I am certainly not so sure about this boundary that Google Maps has established for Las Gaviotas. According to this, part of what I understand to be Versalles is considered part of Las Gaviotas, but for better or worse, we don't have another point of reference that is readily available. Let me take a quick look now at some of your comments, and we'll take it from there. Ooh, lots of comments today. Of course, the wonderful good mornings, which I absolutely love. Got about halfway through the Branden and James interview before pausing for this broadcast. Looking forward to checking out their music. Great interview. Ryan, they are so wonderful and adorable, and they're going to help me go shopping for clothes for the concert. In the show notes, you will find a link to all their music, all their merch, all their good stuff. They were wonderful. Yes, I get to go shopping with James. He's so sexy. Well, they both are. But they were sweet, sweet, fun friends. Let's see. Alan is watching with his wife, Yolanda. Hola, Yolanda, ¿cómo estás? Let's see what else we have. Speak of Emiliano Zapata, greetings from Basilio Vadillo. There you go. Where rents are crazy. Betsy Ann is also in Emiliano Zapata. How do you feel about living over there, Betsy? I hope you have some interesting comments later on. Lots of happy birthday wishes. Moving right along. Oh, Lisa felt the shake. There you go. Let's see. Oh, there's a cue here. Apio Verde. Apio Verde to you, Rita. Didn't feel a thing thanks to Bacardi Mojitos. Attaboy. I love it. Dave says, people are complaining about Christmas Village. Give me a break. There is plenty of space on the Malecon. All those guys need to do is wear a damn mask. Don't get me started with face masks. Do they have monumental skates? Oh, I'm sure they have monumental skates, Jenny. You know, monumental skates for you to have monumental falls. Julie says, nothing says Merry Christmas like a cable car. Yes, I know. I know. A couple of people report video freezing. I hope it's not the internet of the world. And let's see what else. Oh, Den is saying we're diverting because of Agua Negra means all of our trips take a bit longer. Well, you know, you may end up giving us the best tips on where to go in the city to avoid the caca water, Den. I loved it. Tony says, I was at Costco around 5 and it was empty, so was La Comer. How bizarre, because I must have been at Costco like the hour before and it was still just crazy. Every single cash register was open. And, you know, I entertain myself with phones on my iPhone or podcasts or whatever. But yes, it was definitely not something that I particularly enjoyed. Please report on the cruda. Well, I don't have a cruda. I had a glass of wine last night during the broadcast to prevent myself from being too nervous because I was using my new interview technology for the first time. Well, it's the second time. The first time was with Logan the other day. And this was the second time. And of course, you were not supposed to know that I was shaking because I wanted everything to go well, and everything went well, but it was challenging. Thank you very much for those remarks. Kathleen, the interview with James and Branden was excellent. I was just thrilled to get to know them better. Let's see what else. Dan's actual last day of work before he retires is Thursday, December 30th. We are thinking that going to hear everyone at Teatro Vallarta might be the perfect way to celebrate his retirement. Well, one of the things that I'm going to advance to you, or you probably already put A and B together, or no, actually, I haven't brought this up recently. December 27 is my holiday here in my life now because December 27 marks the day in which I arrived in Puerto Vallarta for the first time without ever having set foot in the city. Never before. And this year it will be my 20th anniversary. So, like you, Den and Kathy, this year is a time for celebrate all the wonderful things that have happened. And the fact that I arrived in Puerto Vallarta 20 years ago, 3 days before the concert, makes me feel even more honored to be the master of ceremonies because I never in my life did I anticipate that my life in Puerto Vallarta would turn into what it has. So I'll be celebrating with you if you go to the concert, and I certainly hope you will. Um, let's see. Julie wants to laugh, but that would probably be rude. See, that's a challenge with reading your comments out of order. I really wish I knew what you want to laugh about, but especially because it would be rude. I love that. Let's see what else we have. Oh, the hateful things. My mother would have never approved of your situation. Damn. I don't want to hear that from people that come visiting. Fuck that. I love it. Um, Not specifically holiday related, but we have had people who meet us and find out we live here say, "Oh, so you must not have children or grandchildren." Um, I yeah, that would be weird. Uh, when are you having kids? That is rude. uh, let's see what else we have. Kathy would always get asked if she was pregnant at holidays. How rude. I love it when people ask me if I'm pregnant because God knows I'm trying to get a good pregnation um, lately. But there are no suitors. No suitors right now. Oh. Did we do Cinco de Diciembre neighborhood already? I couldn't see it on the website playlists. Um, have we done Cinco de Diciembre? My goodness, I don't remember. I think not, or maybe yes. I don't remember, Lynn. I can bring it up right now. Hold on just a second. Can I do this quickly? Do 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 do. Please, please, please give me a second, everyone, and I will see where Cinco de Diciembre is on our list. If I look at our original Colonia list, because we voted on this. No, we have not. As a matter of fact, if I show you where we are, we're right here. Emiliano Zapata. Next week we do Las Gaviotas. Then we do El Centro. Then we do Fluvial. Then we do Cinco de Diciembre. And then the most popular in the results, which we decided we would do backwards, is Versalles. So that is coming up. And of course, there are many, many, many other colonias in the city. We can continue moving on to the other colonias after we're done with this initial batch of 23 colonias. I will let you decide if you wish to do that. And maybe after we're done with this initial batch of colonias, you get to decide what will be the next colonia on a weekly basis. We'll take it from, I'll take your input as far as this is concerned. Let's see what else we have. Emiliano Zapata used to have a supermarket, a tortilla factory, and many other things you needed. Now it's overgrown and crowded. I couldn't agree with you more. Da-da-da-da. I'm fortunate to live in Colonia Emiliano Zapata. Everything is close by and have a lot of space for my two cats and two dogs. Yes, that is a situation that I would definitely call fortunate. So much monumental construction in Versailles is now very afraid for my neighborhood. That makes two of us, Rita. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Let's see. Karen says your assessment is spot on. Well, my assessment is looking at Colonia Emiliano Zapata from the point of view of a local sharing time and company with other locals. If you guys were tourists, or if this was a broadcast for tourists, the take on Emiliano Zapata would be radically different. Of course, Heather has lived in that neighborhood for a long time, um, loving its formerly bohemian feel. Yes, it's gone. Um, at one point, 6 condos being built within one block of where I lived. Yeah, it has changed a lot. It's not a place that I look forward to going to as frequently as I used to, that's for sure. Let's see what else we have. I first fell in love with Vallarta back in the 60s while staying in Emiliano Zapata, but it was a whole different place for sure. Absolutely. Oh, Javier was referring to that fruit beer as far as the cruda is concerned. I don't think I'm going to drink enough of them to warrant a hangover, but you never know. Um, okay, thank you. Interview skills were outstanding and extremely professional. Would never know you were nervous. That's part of the fun. Uh, Jenny says, you were 10 when you arrived? No, I was 31? 41. 41. Yes, 41. 41 years old. Yes, that's how old I was. What made me choose Vallarta? 6 things. I knew I wanted to come back to Mexico, so I was looking for 6 things were my criteria. Number one, a place with English speaking people. Number two, and these are in no particular order, a place with culture. Number three, a place with gays. Number four, a small town. Number five, on the Pacific Ocean. Number six, with internet. That was my criteria for finding a home for the next chapter in my life. And at the time, I'm talking about 21, 22 years ago, the only place that seemed to have that was Puerto Vallarta. So I said to myself, okay, if Puerto Vallarta is the place, I give myself 1 year to get ready financially, emotionally, and logistically ready to move there. And I did. And on an early morning on December 27, 2001, I set foot here for the first time, and I've never left as far as being a resident. This has been my home for all that time, and I couldn't be happier. Yay! And we've reached the end of your cues, so that means we've reached the end of the broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. I was very happy to share my personal take on Emiliano Zapata, and thank you again for being such a wonderful community. You guys are truly amazing. Tomorrow, we have the last broadcast of the week. I still don't know what we're going to feature, but again, we love the fact that there's always something to talk about here. And then it's the rest of the weekend. So enjoy your day, enjoy your weekend, and I will hopefully see you tomorrow.